Mhm. All right. So let's go over what happened today. So as you can see, if you're on the Telegram, our levels largely held today, even though we did briefly break through, and this was a crazy day on SPX. We did break through um, the lower support band, um, but then we recovered later in the day. We got some huge volatility is back, ladies and gentlemen. We've had some giant candlestick moves, 15 candlestick moves these past 2 days. Let's just tighten this up a little bit. So look at this. It really wasn't until the end of the day here, the last like 2 hours, hour and a half or so, that the price sort of stabilized and we just kind of traded within the middle range, the Bollinger Bands. But we were up at the top, and then we were selling off hard, just tracking the Bollinger Bands down, down, down from about 10:30 on today. Now, if you were trading, earlier in the summer, a lot of the price action was very, very tight in the middle. But you can see VXX on the daily. Let's go to the daily. Yeah, volatility is increasing. Came down a bit today, but I think we're in a higher volatility regime, especially for the next. I would say for the next 6 months, while the new administration kind of finds its footing, we figure out where some of the tariff policies are heading, somewhere the economic policies are heading. What's super interesting, and I've talked about this before, but the 10-year yield earlier today, it came down, retraced a bit. It did hit 4.7%, which is the highest it's been since 2008. What's more interesting about that is it's up 100 basis points basically since the Fed began its cutting regimen. When the Fed has cut 100 basis points, if you know, and now the U.S. 10-year is up 100 basis points. So the bond markets do not agree with the Fed's actions. Now, how will this have knock-on consequences for stocks? Well, we're seeing liquidity issues, and I think that's kind of why volatility has been increasing in stocks. We're seeing liquidity issues as bond yields rise, as the yen carry trade kind of unwinds and continues to have a bit of instability. Liquidity is coming out of the system, and if you follow the bond markets and the reverse repo markets, especially with the Fed, you'll know that the Fed is pulling reverse repo money, which is reverse repo is the overnight lending market of the banks. So it provides liquidity because banks can loan out to each other, and it's backstopped by the Fed. As reverse repo drains, right, that stops the interbank or intrabank borrowing. So it's slow, and then with less borrowing, banks have to be a little more stingy with their balance sheets. This leads to decrease in loans, knock-on effects of decreasing economic activity. So what we're seeing, I do think we're gonna. I mean, we had a little bit of a recovery here later today, and this is a huge red candlestick. That's to be expected, but really, I foresee more red candles as we go through this year. Let's see what we got. So we're still below the 9 period SMA. We'll see if the stocks can. We'll see if the SPX can hit it, can get above this. But again, tomorrow's an off day, so for the rest of the week, I would say that the 59.40 level is a pretty good resistance line for the rest of the week. We'll see if we break that. Now, another thing that happened is this is like my little quantum computing watch list. If you have been following along with Telegram, I've been talking a bit about quantum. I talked about how Google supposedly created, really the first quantum computer that is capable of some multiple of, of calculations per second of the world's best supercomputer. Some people say quantum computing is a joke. It's not real. Google seems to suggest otherwise. However, Jensen Huang disagrees with Google. In the latest NVIDIA keynote, what did he talk about? He said that quantum computing in a real way is 15 to even 30 years away. So this basically sent the entire quantum industry into a giant sell-off. We lost 50% at one point on tickers like Rigetti, IonQ, and they're still selling off hard. So the question is, is quantum the next big hype train? We had AI, we had crypto, but it remains to be seen who is right. Is Google right, or is Jensen Huang right? You would think Jensen would have some insight because his chips will probably be used to power some of these computers. Now, what's interesting, as I saw this on the interwebs, is even while he's throwing shade at quantum computing, NVIDIA is actually staffing up on quantum engineers. So, sometimes these CEOs, it's my cat, these CEOs will say one thing but do another. So it's we'll see. We'll see what the truth is. I do think that there will be some gains. I don't think quantum is over as a investment thesis, but I do think that we might be in for some short-term pain. If you look at the longer term for IonQ, for example, I mean, we've had a huge run up since October. So we started at $8, got to 55. So you can't expect that to continue. This actually could present a decent buying opportunity. Let's see how it goes for the next week or so. But yeah, it could present some interesting buy opportunities. Now, let's go to NVIDIA itself. So NVIDIA, one day, big sell-off yesterday, minor sell-off. The question is, is NVIDIA, so the markets, right? When we say index funds, the idea is that index funds are distributed among, the entire S&P 500, but in reality, they're distributed and heavily weighted towards like a SPY is heavily weighted towards, the FANG companies, the Magnificent Seven. You have NVIDIA, Netflix, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft in there as well. So NVIDIA, right, has the potential to carry this market higher if it goes higher. So we're watching this. This is a big sell-off in NVIDIA. It's one of the largest it's had in quite a while. So since we're closed tomorrow, Friday we're going to be looking for some regaining of the territory. I'm looking for it to maybe get about 145 zone before we start looking and seeing if maybe it's going to recover and we can go to 160. Right now it's closed at 140 today. Let's see what else we got. Got yields, quantum. Let's look at Apple. Apple's another one that's heavily weighted, that the indexes are heavily weighted toward. Now, Apple had actually been in a pretty bad run recently. If any of y'all are in Lazy Traders Club we've been talking about Apple, but it just has not, it's not working out for old Tim Cook. So, this is, we can sort of see we have some descending channel here. Remains to be seen whether or not Apple can break out of this. This isn't perfect, but basically, I would say a little bit of reversal today on Apple's share price, but you can see the impact of volatility. These small bodies and these long wicks, right? There's a lot of price action on all these stocks. It's hard to figure out a direction in this first full, well, I guess it's not even a full week because we have off tomorrow, but this first full week of trading in January. So very interesting. A lot of Apple's success depends on its China numbers and the shipments that it has in China. There's a lot of data that suggests that they're losing big ground to Huawei. I do believe that it's either next week or the week after their earnings are coming out. So it's going to be very interesting to see where Apple goes prior to earnings and obviously after earnings. We'll see exactly the volume of sales it did in China, plus in America as well and the rest of the world. Let's go to Meta. I like the stock a lot more after Zuckerberg's announcement. I think that America first plays are pretty compelling. I mean, we saw that with Tesla. Obviously, Elon Musk threw his entire business empire on the side of Trump. Tesla's selling off hard, but I do think long term that the tech companies that align themselves with the American First agenda are going to long term benefit. And I think that Meta, even though it's been in a sell-off pattern, I do think that it has a lot of potential now that Musk is opening up the taps on the political dialogue on the platform. If you don't know, he came out yesterday and had a long 5 minutes video where he talked about how that Meta was pressured by the FBI during the Biden administration to stifle political speech. So they shadow banned, and it wasn't just on the right; it was on the left too. They shadow banned political accounts. But now that Trump is in office, they're going to open up the taps on those again, and we're going to have a little more discourse available on the platform. For instance, Daily Wire, which is Ben Shapiro's outlet, they were getting 1 billion impressions per month prior to 2021, and then it fell to 100 million. So they, a 90% drop off, only a tenth of what they were getting when the political speech on Facebook and not just Facebook, but Instagram and the other platforms that Meta owns, when they were stifling political speech, a lot of political accounts got shadow banned, saw their engagements plummet. So this is beneficial. I think, you can see how much effect the discourse on X, on Twitter, has had since Elon bought it. I think we're going to have something similar on Meta. And I do think the fact that it's sold off a bit, supported about 604, 605 levels, I think is a good place to kind of hang our hats. And it could be some interesting buying opportunities for Meta down the road. Let's see. Let's see what gold has done. Well, gold is up. Had a little bit of instability here the past few weeks, but look, as the dollar decreases, gold, I believe, is just going to continue to increase as the dollar purchasing power, as inflation increases, as the dollar purchasing power decreases, gold only stands to benefit. So I'm long gold. I think we could retest highs here at 250 or so. And let's check in on one of the things we shared to our Telegram members today, Roblox. Look at that. So as I was saying on Roblox today, we had this had it breaking out of this wedge pattern here. It's interesting that Roblox is whenever there's never, everything isn't always selling off. There's always something you can find. So I do think that we had a push up from Roblox. I believe I had to double check which calls I recommended. Let me see which ones I recommended. The 7th February, $64 calls. So we were right. Close to it on all of the day highs. But pretty solid price action from Roblox. Let's look at the 5 minute. Let's see what it did on the 5 minutes. So initial sell off today, but it did recover. Finished up higher from the previous close, so that's good. Yeah. Now, one of the what AI agents. Now, back to Jensen and NVIDIA. Jensen talked while he was throwing shade on the quantum computing world. He kind of laid out the roadmap for the next. I'm trying to put the thesis together, but it's very interesting. It basically said that the next big investing trend is AI agents, right? So AI powered virtual assistants, AI powered decision making, using AI to actually create an impact on your business or in the real world. These are AI agents, companies like SoundHound, right? So, I don't want 1 hour, I want 1 day. So, SoundHound sold off. But if you're looking long term, I think that the AI agent, and I'll put together a little portfolio of tickers and send it over to y'all. But I do think long term AI agents are going to be one of the investment theses moving forward in the next couple months. Because AI is just, I started using ChatGPT 2 years ago, and frankly, it sucked. But now it's so good. I mean, it's the improvement in ChatGPT is out of this world. Whether that's for coding or ideating or questions or writing, it's becoming far more advanced than it was. And I believe that Sam Altman said that AI will soon have the IQ of 200 in like a year. Right now, it's like at 100. Its IQ is like 100, right? Which is the average IQ of the human population. 200, you're getting into like very near super genius levels. I don't think artificial general intelligence will be there yet, but I do think that as the tech continues to progress, we will see more applications for AI. These AI agents will be a bull thesis, really driven in part by NVIDIA. And I do believe NVIDIA is investing in SoundHound too. So they're kind of going to rise and fall on NVIDIA's laurels. We'll see how that turns out, over the longer term. Let's check in. This is another ticker that we recommended. Wolf is down. I see some support here though. I do see some support with Wolf. 544. I believe we're in the $7 calls. So, and they're still a month out. So I think we could still see some recovery to there. I think that we will see a recovery to there. Obviously, the market data this week has not been good. I mean, the economic data, we've had, rising job openings. We've had ADP employment came in at lower than estimates. Previous was 146,000. This month it's 122,000. Estimates were 136,000. So starting to definitely see some softness in the labor market. Jobless claims were 201,000. Forecast of 215,000. So a little lower than the forecast. Now it remains to be seen if those will be revised lower, because the jobs forecast since 2021 have all been revised lower. You get the headline number that's posted on Bloomberg, and then they're revised lower by 20-30%, right? So we shall see. The outgoing administration really has no reason to fudge the numbers at this point, because Trump's coming in. I'm sure they want to leave him with as little as possible. So yeah, kind of a even though it ended up, we go back to SPX. Even though it ended up sort of like a nothing burger today, very, very, small difference between opening and close. There was a lot of action in the middle of it. So, Thursday's closed for Jimmy Carter Observance Day. Friday, we are probably trying to put on a bargain bin trade. Our lazy trader closed today. Nice 89% winner on that, 86% winner, 89%, something like that. So we're out of that for this week. Plenty of trade opportunities coming down the pike. Ooh, I want to look at Palantir. Palantir is an interesting one. I didn't expect Palantir to sell off like it did here. If you don't know, Palantir is the Peter Thiel sort of all-encompassing AI company. They're powering the drones that are, I believe, would be the next generation of warfare. And it's really interesting. Drones to me are super interesting, because they allow small actors to punch above their weight, right? I think this is going to be, drone warfare is going to be the next paradigm shift in military affairs. You don't need aircraft carriers. You don't need submarines. You just need, a bigger drone to deliver smaller drones, and you could bomb a city, right? For cheap. And you could send, thousands of them, and they cost, way less than like one warhead, one Tomahawk missile, So Palantir, it might not be, the most holy of stocks, but they are powering this revolution. And of course, Peter Thiel is a Trump backer. Alex Karp, the CEO, actually donated to Kamala, but Peter Thiel himself, who's the founder, not the CEO, but he is all in on the Trump train. So I think Palantir, there's, within a bull market, there's always sell-offs. I do think Palantir long term still has say $90 in it to hit $90. So a little bit of a dip, right? There'll be some bumps along the way, but long term, I'm still bullish. Still bullish on Palantir. Speaking of other Trump stocks, Tesla. Well, Tesla's, I had a little alert set at 420 to buy Tesla if it got below that. And I think we're at a pretty good buying opportunity here. It remains to be seen. Let's see. Yep, so below the 20-day, 9-day, below the 9-day. I think we're going to probably in the next 3 or 4 trading days, we're probably going to get back up to 415 or so on Tesla. I think the sell-off is going to be limited. I mean, it's already been pretty significant, a ton of gaps down, and a gap down largely because he's been slashing the price, and the idea was that you slash the price, you stimulate new sales coming in from Tesla, but that didn't happen. The sales are slowing. And it's a question of, Tesla's more, it's almost like a cultural question, I think. Like, are we going to go towards electric cars, electric infrastructure? Or are we going to double down on fossil fuels? Plus, what is the effect of Elon being so ensconced in the new incoming administration, right? So there's lots of factors at play for Tesla's price action besides just the bare economics P&Ls of the company. It's unpredictable. I think there's oftentimes very little to gain from Tesla's, meat and potatoes financial statements. But I do think that the fact that, Elon controls Starlink, you can't invest in Starlink. You can invest in, really the only way you can invest in Elon is via Tesla. So this is going to provide some support for this ticker long term. But yeah, we have had the calendar club training today. We have earnings coming out this week, kicking into earnest next week. Got some big bangs, JPM next week, Goldman Sachs next week. So it'll be interesting to see how these higher interest rates are impacting them. They usually don't have as much effect on the big boys as it does on the smaller regional banks. JP Morgan Chase looks like it's in a little bit of a consolidation pattern. So typically what you see in the consolidation pattern after an upswing is just setting up for a little more, taking its breath, and then it's going to move higher. So I wouldn't be surprised if after next week we start to see JP Morgan test 250. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first one of these we've done today. First one we've done is today, these live market roundups. I hope you like it. We're going to try and do more of these with y'all. So, give me a thumbs up if you like it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Try and grow this baby. And yeah, we're going to do some pre-market ones too. I think the next one's going to come on Monday. So before the market opens. So we'll do that, look at some of the setups and go from there. So yeah, appreciate you all showing up, and have a good Jimmy Carter day tomorrow and Friday. I'll be back at you with some more trading ideas and market intel. See you later.